When it comes to our oceans and seas, the ultimate argument is always about resources. Whether they be resources around the seas and oceans or resources embedded within and underneath our waters, or resources that overflow ashore into viable economic activities. The resources, the wealth, and the sheer economic power resulting from the maritime domain can never be truly quantified. Hello and welcome to yet another episode of NIMASA This Week, the Voice of Maritime, brought to you by the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, the nation's apex regulator and promoter of every sea-going activity in Nigeria. My name is Ubong Esien, and it's always my pleasure to guide you through this exciting voyage.
You are watching NIMASA This Week.
NIMASA This Week.
NIMASA This Week.
The Voice of Maritime.
The Voice of Maritime.
The Voice of Maritime.
The Voice of Maritime in Nigeria.
I'll encourage you to watch NIMASA This Week.
NIMASA This Week, the Voice of Maritime, showing on these stations.
Welcome back to NIMASA This Week, the Voice of Maritime. So we're talking about resources, by extension, how important the maritime environment is to our economic survival, what today is known globally as the blue economy, on how NIMASA is providing the enablement for the various players and stakeholders to actualize our economic potential in this blue universe that is both renewable and inexhaustible. So on today's episode of the program, we start you, as always, with the DG's diary. Let's see what Dr. Bashir Jamo has been up to within the Nigerian maritime space this past week, as well as our other regulars. So if you're ready, it's anchors away.
Our world-class Maritime Experience Center is now live, announcing Maritime Stakeholders Experience Contact Center, MSECC, where you'll get simple, fast, and tailored solutions to all your maritime challenges on maritime safety, maritime labor, marine pollution, search and rescue, cabotage issues, ship registration, training and certification, and other maritime-related issues. Contact us via the polling channels 23401-630-9590. Email us at contactcenter@nimasa.gov.ng, info@nimasa.gov.ng. Chat with us www.nimasa.gov.ng and on Facebook at NIMASA Official. Let's resolve all your maritime related issues. The Director General of the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, Dr. Bashir Jamo, has advocated the use of innovative models by the oil producers as complementary support for NIMASA and the Nigerian Navy to tackle the challenge of crude oil theft currently bedeviling the country. The DG championed this view during a courtesy visit to the agency by the chairman and members of the Security Subcommittee of the Oil Producers Trade Section of the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry. He reiterated that with the implementation of the Deep Blue project by NIMASA, in collaboration with other institutions of government, the nation's security architecture was better positioned to fight the menace.
It's been reported that between January last year to February this year, over $32 billion of our own crude oil has been stolen. I begin to wonder how, and with which vessel, and how do they get out. That cannot happen if the OPTS that constitute 90% of the operators are given their own lending hand to ensure that the members, they are up to the level of their own task in ensuring that no area member can come to this country and begin to steal crude oil like that. I think this is an area where we can throw challenge to all of us to devise a means of innovative means to address the issue of crude oil theft. NIMASA, we made a promise, and we have already sent our fellows to go for training. We agreed to commandeer one of the our air platforms to start surveillance of the pipelines to see whether from there or the stealing it comes direct from the drilling of this crude oil, that exploration. So that cannot be done by only Nigerian Navy, NIMASA, or any other agency that is concerned with the responsibility of looking after the fight against crude oil theft. I think it's high time for the OPTS also to lend their own hand to see that we address this issue, because today's Nigeria's economy is in their need of support of all of us, because at the end of day, whatever we try to improve in terms of this stealing is going to the coffers of the federal government for the betterment of each and every one of us and our own children.
Speaking further, the DG emphasized plans to change the dynamics of crude oil lifting in the country, and at the same time urged OPTS to encourage the growth of the country's shipbuilding and repair industry by way of patronage, as they have a better chance and capacity to do so.
I will be interfacing with you to ensure that we change the dynamics of the crude oil lifting. We have been struggling to see the Nigerians have position in terms of crude oil lifting. To date, it remains the business of international community. They come, they buy our oil, and they leave the oil. There is no country that produces oil today in the world that allow the carriage of such cargo by foreigners, not Nigerians. So it's high time now, since we are changing the dynamics in terms of security. If we don't have the capital to own the ships, we can go for partnership, joint ventures, charter, and make sure that we have a say in lifting our own crude oil. The next stage of NIMASA is to ensure that we work tirelessly to make sure that Nigerians, they have a say in the business of crude oil lifting. Not only crude oil, even the products. We have to be given rights to lift such crude oil. So I am extending my hands of fellowships to make sure that the OPTS come to terms of our own need and request for the international community and the business partners. Before now, we do go to NNPC. Today, NNPC is almost privatized, so probably they don't have say. So they are like any other private individuals like you. So by virtue of the OPTS, your duty, as Mr. Ilyasu alluded, is the issue of security. You also engage in advocacy. So we want you to lend your voice in advocacy to ensure that you support NIMASA so that we can start lifting our own crude oil. The amount of money we are letting it out for the international to the international community is enormous. If you look at the value chain in terms of the gains from the crude oil are enormous. Even the insurance component, our insurance companies are almost dead when we have billions of dollars flinging around the oil and gas businesses that Nigerians doesn't have a way to do something about it. The second issue has to do with the development of the industry's infrastructure, ship repair industry, shipbuilding industry. Today, because of lack of market, most of the shipbuilding industry are down. The ship repairs industry are going also down. They are not being operated into full capacity because of lack of patronage from our own business partners. Now, with your position, I think you stand a better chance to begin to think and patronize these companies.
On the shipbuilding and repair industry, the DG announced that NIMASA would soon launch one of the 5 largest modular floating docks in Africa, also explaining that the agency has been working tirelessly to commence the disbursement of the Cabotage Vessel Financing Fund (CVFF) to encourage indigenous participation in the shipping business.
I am happy to announce that NIMASA very soon, within the shortest possible time, we will now launch one of the 5 largest modular floating dock in Africa. We procure it through the policy intervention of government to make sure that the foreign exchange being siphoned into the country to go and repair ships in our neighboring countries is no longer being entertained. Now with that, I believe the OPTS will implore their members, both international and local partners, to come to the terms of reality and continue to make use the available resources and the platforms we have in the country. The next thing is to strengthen our own cabotage. The cabotage regime has been a baby. We are working tirelessly to commence the disbursement of the cabotage vessel financing fund. As soon as we launch that, we will make sure that we interface with you to give us the specification of the vessel that your members are utilizing, which is the most key element. It's one thing for you to own a fleet, and it's another to ensure that that fleet is being engaged. There's no point for you to have a fleet and you don't have cargo to engage that particular fleet. So with your own contributions and assistance, I believe that we will be able to make sure that we get the right specification of vessels being utilized now today, both oil and gas industry, to make sure that we buy the right vessels and we give the right people the loans to own these vessels so that they can contribute to the development of our own economy.
In his remarks, the chairman of the Security Subcommittee of the Oil Producers Trade Section, Mr. Ilyasu Bagna, assured the DG of the group's commitment to curbing the issue of oil loss and theft in the country, noting that a lot of efforts have already been put in place in that regard.
I want to assure the DG that the OPTS is not sleeping on the issue of oil loss and revenue to the government. We've had series of engagements with NNPC, with the Defense Headquarters, and it may be slow, but I know a lot of efforts are being put in place today. I've personally gone on a helicopter overflight to see the impact of the ongoing activities, and I think the role the armed forces are playing with the support from NNPC is highly commendable. So I believe with support from your end also, as mentioned by my colleague, we will see more synergy, more interplay to ensure that this menace is brought to an end.
Jamo assured the committee that NIMASA would continue to support and encourage OPTS on all possible and realistic fronts, and implored them to reciprocate by helping the agency to address some of the challenges highlighted at the meeting.
Audio Jungle.
The Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency has launched an electronic registration platform for maritime labor and issuance of biometric identity cards to dock workers. The Director General, Dr. Bashir Jamo, described the e-platform as a major step towards attaining full automation of all its processes, adding that it was conceived out of the need to establish an independent, robust, integrated information, verification and communication platform that would serve as a system database generation on maritime labor in Nigeria. The Director General of NIMASA, Dr. Bashir Jamo, represented by the agency's Executive Director, Maritime Labor and Cabotage Services, Engineer Victor Che, he noted that the industry will gain from the development of automation processes, both in terms of time saving, enhancing service delivery, as well as building capacity of the maritime labor workforce.
I'm standing in for the DG as well as doing my own job to present to you that which we've been working on for a long time. It's part of the improvement strategies of the agency and ensuring that there's a seamless relationship between the terminal operators and indeed the regulators. This has been the cry of the Maritime Workers Union, and in compliance with the provisions of the various sections of the acts establishing the agency, as well as the Dock Workers Convention, we are gathered here today this morning to flag off the Maritime Labor e-platform. You're welcome to the launching of the NIMASA e-platform for registration of Nigerian dock workers and seafarers. The agency, pursuant to the implementation of Section 27, Sub 1, Sub A of its Act 2007, which mandates it to register and maintain a register of every dock worker, seafarer, stevedoring company, manning agents, seafarer employers, jetties, terminal operators, and offshore platforms has commenced the process of a maritime labor e-platform for the registration and administration of maritime labor operators and stakeholders. The dock and seafarers industry, which have become an important link in the transport network, requires constant upgrading in order to respond to the demands of international trade. The growing transport volume, the increasing sophistication of infrastructure, the widespread use of containers, and the intense capital investment required for the development of dock and seafarers activities have led to profound reforms in the maritime domain.
Dr. Jamo continued by saying that the agency was still dedicated to enhancing the skills of Nigerian seafarers and dock workers in order to improve the standing of the nation's maritime sector within the Committee of Maritime Nations. The President General of the Maritime Workers Union of Nigeria, Comrade Adewale Adeyanju, expressed delight with the automation of maritime labor registration processes by NIMASA, stating that the agency had proven that it was indeed committed to improving standards in the Nigerian maritime sector, especially in terms of labor practices and capacity development.
It's no longer in our history, and it will never be in our history anymore, because the dock workers today have been transformed. They have been trained to a standard where they can compare with their colleagues in other foreign countries. And with this emergence of biometric ID card that you are flagging up today, I think the sky is the limit for all the dock workers in Nigeria. Is to identify the good from the bad. Who are the dock workers? The dock workers are those that are gainfully employed by stevedoring contractors, managed by terminal operators, registered and midwife by NIMASA. I think the NIMASA are not making mistakes. They only do what the law says, and that is what they are doing today. We are almost lost hope, because we have been on this matter for the past 4 or 5 years before the emergence of my ED and DG. But today, we've come out to tell the whole world that they can do it better than before. Like my sister said, the training program is not for the NIMASA alone. Who are the end users? The stevedore, the terminal operators. If the NIMASA is doing their own, what stop the terminal operators not to train their workers? A worker that is well empowered, a worker that was well trained, he will perform.
Also in attendance at the event were representatives of major maritime stakeholders including Nigerian Ports Authority, Nigerian Shippers Council, Nigerian Immigration Service, Nigeria Customs Service, the Commissioner of Police Apapa Port, amongst others.
Welcome back. It's still NIMASA This Week, the voice of maritime, and we go straight to check out some of those conversations in the maritime domain going on currently online. So you can continue the conversation with the DJ as well as NIMASA. The handles as displayed on your screen are all at NIMASA Official. However, when we talk of business in the maritime domain, if you're interested in shipping, chandling, becoming an agent, or hiring maritime labor, all these things require that you play by certain strict rules. And NIMASA is the regulator of every activity in the Nigerian maritime domain. All you need to do is make the NIMASA official website your first port of call. That website is currently displayed on your screen. We're grateful you could spend the time with us today on the program, and we hope you come back to keep learning more and more about what the Nigerian Maritime Administration and Safety Agency is doing to protect our marine environment, keep our oceans secure, as well as engender shipping activities within the country. So till I see you next time, stay on course and heed James Lawrence's nautical advice. Don't give up the ship. My name remains Ubongisien. Bye-bye for now.